I have X-ray vision. Hi, my name is Barry, and I have X-ray vision. It must sound absolutely crazy to you all, and I can imagine you probably don't believe me, but hear me out. I was a completely normal boy before this happened. I didn't get bitten by a spider or exposed to strange chemicals or anything of the sort. I just woke up one morning and suddenly something seemed odd. I didn't comprehend what was going on at first since I was still sleepy. I could see the street just outside my house, and it seemed so odd since there was always a wall there. It wasn't like I was looking out the window. I blinked several times, but I still could see the street. When I rubbed my eyes and looked again, the wall was there once more. I figured I must have been dreaming and woken up just after it, like one of those hyper-realistic dreams, you know? So I went to the bathroom and took a shower, but it happened again. I could see my house's backyard instead of the wall. I completely freaked out and jumped out of the shower. Could this be possible? I dried off and got dressed in a rush and ran outside. I squinted my eyes and looked around. Much to my surprise, I could easily see through everything I wanted to. I could switch back to my normal vision and then to the X-ray one with increasing ease. It was amazing. I could barely believe what was going on, but I knew now that I wasn't dreaming and that this was really happening. Everything changed for me that day, as you might imagine. I knew better than to tell people about my powers. Some would think I was insane and others might be freaked out. What if the government tried to catch me and do experiments on me or something like that? I kept my mouth shut and carried on with my life as if nothing was amiss, but to me, everything was different. I could see through walls, through desks and papers and even clothes. Being a teenager, you can imagine how much fun I had with that particular ability. You'd be surprised by how many people go around without any underwear underneath their clothes. I certainly didn't expect it to be so mainstream. Perhaps someone braver than me, and far more selfless, would have used this power to fight crime or something amazing like that. I didn't have it in me. I was just a teenager and trying to live a relatively normal life, with all the perks having X-ray vision granted me. I didn't even tell my parents about it, even if I was tempted to from time to time. I didn't know how they'd react, but I had so many questions. I would have given anything for some sound advice, but decided it was best to keep it to myself. When it came to hide and seek, no one could beat me. I'd find people within seconds and amaze my friends with my abilities. I also began pretending to be psychic at school and guessed the cards my classmates picked. It became a fun little trick, and I even earned some money out of it, as some of them decided to bet I couldn't keep guessing right. That gave me an idea. As soon as I was old enough to visit a casino, I began making a massive fortune. I wasn't silly enough to win every single game, as that would get me all kinds of negative attention and I didn't want to be accused of cheating. But I'd win when I placed big bets and ended up becoming a millionaire at a really young age. I bought my folks a retirement house for them to relax instead of working so hard, and they were really grateful. My parents gave me the best possible childhood, and I wanted to repay them for everything they had done to me. I gave my dad a new car and my mom a trip to Paris. They were ecstatic but hesitant to accept my gifts. They didn't want me throwing my money away. They protested. In the end, though, I convinced them to enjoy the gifts. Finally, I decided I couldn't keep the secret from the world any longer, so I called some of my best friends to my home and sat them down. I explained everything to them, how I had woken up one day and discovered I had X-ray vision, how I cheated casinos during poker games. They didn't believe me at first, of course. I expected them to be skeptical, so I showed them I wasn't lying. I asked one of my friends to go into the bathroom and to write random words in a piece of paper. I activated my X-ray vision and read everything he wrote. They checked for cameras, believing I was pulling a prank on them. Eventually, I told them the exact color of their underwear, since that couldn't be seen with any camera I might have installed around the house. They were in absolute awe and began asking all sorts of questions. We spent hours talking about how it was possible and everything I could do in the future with my powers, but I also made them promise never to tell anyone about it. I trusted them completely, so I know my secret is safe. Now, you might be asking yourself, Why am I revealing my story if it's such a big secret? Well, as you might have guessed, my name isn't really Barry. It's a random name I selected. I'm making this video to discover if there are other people like me out there. People who have X-ray vision or maybe other powers. I'm sure we'll be able to find each other even if I haven't revealed my real identity. Thanks for watching. What powers would you choose if you were granted only one? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos on the channel. Hi, my name is Jason, and this is the story of how I went from broke to rich. It doesn't begin as a happy story, but thanks to my parents' efforts and a few wise investments, I was able to turn my life around. When I was growing up, I'd get online and see all these people living wonderful lives I couldn't afford. They'd live in wonderful mansions, travel all around the globe, buy expensive clothes, and own all kinds of pets. I wanted so badly to be like them, not see my parents worrying over the little money they made monthly. They worked so hard to provide for me, and I'm so grateful for all their effort and love. I promised myself I'd one day be rich and I'll buy a big, nice house for my mom and dad to live in. I was too young to get a job, and Mom didn't allow me to apply for half-time gigs since she was worried I'd stop paying attention to my studies. She wanted me to graduate and make something out of myself. Then one day, tragedy struck. I arrived home from school to find my mom sitting in the living room, sobbing her eyes out. It was heartbreaking to see her that way. She hugged me tightly and after a while, managed to tell me what had happened. My dad had been in a car accident, and he had died before even reaching the hospital. I couldn't believe it. Now Mom and I were alone, and the man who raised me and I looked up to was gone. The next few weeks were awful. I could barely get out of bed at first, but little by little I started accepting Dad's death. It was a struggle, but I went back to school and continued studying. My mom came home from work one night and she called me downstairs. She had news for me. Apparently, Dad had a secret saving account he had been keeping for years, saving up for our future. My mom decided I would be getting $10,000 out of it, as it was his inheritance and she wanted me to try and fulfill my dreams of investing my own money. She reminded me to be careful about it, but that it was time for me to live my life. Losing Dad had reminded her how short our lives could be. I took this responsibility seriously, and though I was heartbroken about my dad's death, I was happy at least I'd get to finally start making money for myself. So I began researching what I should invest my newfound money on, and heard about a brand new toy called the fidget spinner. I knew instantly it was going to be a big success. I've always followed my gut feelings, and I was wise enough to listen to it as well that time. I bought as many as I could afford, and only a few weeks later, it became this massive trend. I began selling them for 10 times what I had gotten them for and made a great profit out of them. It wasn't enough though, and so I continued with my research. A friend of mine introduced me to something I had barely heard of till then, Bitcoins. After finding out more about this cryptocurrency, I decided I needed to invest in it as well. When I got the Bitcoins, about 20 or so of them, they cost about $1,000 each, and I hesitated for a moment before buying them. My instinct, though, told me it was the right move, and it wasn't wrong. A few months later, the Bitcoin's price had skyrocketed, reaching over $15,000 each. I decided it was the right time to sell, and made over $200,000 profit from my new investment. Now I had to begin thinking bigger. It was time to really take a leap of faith and trust my gut for real. I wasn't dealing with a few $1,000s any longer. So I decided to buy a rundown house. It was the scariest decision of my life. The house was an absolute mess, and there were times I was sure I'd have to have it demolished. I hired a few great handymen who worked hard to turn the abandoned-looking home into an actual dream house. I ended up putting $50,000 into repairing it, even adding flowers to the backyard, making it look beautiful. By the time the repairs were finished, I couldn't believe how different it was from the place I walked in almost 6 months before. It didn't take me long at all till I managed to sell it for over $400,000. I decided to take the profits I made from the previous investment and repeat this project 2 more times, with a couple of new rundown houses in the same neighborhood. I got a huge profit each time. By then, I had already turned 21 and was making a decent living, but I wanted more. This time around, I consulted with real estate professionals and managed to buy an apartment complex for over $1 million. That might sound like a lot of money, but it was a bargain considering its size. I had to spend almost all of my earnings on repairing the building, making it look presentable, but it was worth the effort. The apartment complex is fully occupied now, and I make over $20,000 a month from rental income alone. There's only one apartment that doesn't pay for rent, my mom. I finally managed to get her a nice home to live in for free, and I get to visit her often. Thanks for all for watching. Please leave in the comments what your big dream in life is, and don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos on the channel.